Kingdom, where bitter divisions in the United Kingdom, where anger-filled protests erupted into violent riots this week.
People are fed up of being told you should be ashamed if you're white and working class.
A right-wing tinderbox of anti-Muslim sentiment ignited by dangerous online misinformation.
There is an attempt to exploit a very tragic situation.
One of those accused of using misinformation to fan the flames of anger, Tommy Robinson, the anti-Islam campaigner and convicted criminal, is one of the UK's most prominent far-right activists. Thomas Daigle has covered Tommy Robinson for years. So what do we know about his involvement?
You could say Tommy Robinson has been laying the groundwork, fanning anger, especially towards Muslims and immigrants, for his followers for years now, and all that was needed was a spark, and sadly that came last week with that mass stabbing and the deaths of 3 young children in Southport, England. What did Tommy Robinson say about all this? Unapologetically, in his words, "Don't say I didn't warn you." So in 2018, I looked into what this growing influence means for Robinson and his supporters.
His name rallies those with like-minded views. An army so passionate about his cause, they show up outside the courthouse when he's inside.
Tommy speaks the truth.
About what?
About, I think you know what about. Islam, Sharia law.
Tommy Robinson fancies himself an activist and journalist known for provocative statements like this.
We don't have to stop radical Muslims. We have to stop Islam.
I've caused a breach of peace. I'm being arrested.
A Facebook live stream ultimately got him arrested, reporting in his own way outside a trial covered by a publication ban. Authorities considered it contempt of court, but that's just part of the story.
This is a far-right anti-Muslim activist with a history of violence and criminality who was sent to prison for breaking the law.
We don't want any more mosques in this country.
Just look at how Robinson first became known more than a decade ago by leading chaotic rallies with the self-styled English Defence League, a group promoting British values over what it considered creeping Sharia law.
Look around you. Feel your strength.
Among his followers back then was Ivan Humble. He now rejects the group known as EDL, but keeps the tattoo as a reminder of just how enthralled he became.
There's nobody listening to me. And I found a voice in the English Defence League. If you self-brainwash yourself unconsciously, you don't really realise. Because you're reading the same stuff, you just don't really realise that it's affecting you in your head. It's quite sad. But then
it's the first time he returns to Luton Town Hall since the group was banned here in the heart of Robinson's hometown. In his old stomping grounds, Robinson channeled fears of Islam as a supposed threat to local culture. Then turning to social media, Robinson gained an overseas audience and a big boost from Canada.
What he says is clear and philosophical and liberal.
Like-minded firebrand Ezra Levant offered Robinson a platform on his alternative network, Rebel Media.
Who are you here? Who are you?
Racking up millions of views with stunts like this.
You're scum. You're defending child rapists.
Antagonizing the accused and their families outside rape trials.
I'm here to expose people like you, all of you.
And blaming Islam as the source of the crime.
The fact that instead of talking about the individuals that perpetrate the crimes, he extrapolates that out and holds the whole of the Muslim community and the whole of Islam, all 1.6 billion, responsible.
His supporters saw his arrest as an attack on free speech. They marched in his defense, many likely unaware the demonstration was partly funded by a think tank an ocean away.
How do you spend money that goes to support, give air, oxygen to these comments?
So it's not about the oxygen that's giving to the comments. It's about his right to say it. It's important for an American organization to stand up for an individual talking about the threat of Islamism in his community, because what's going on there could also and is also occurring here in the United States.
Released from prison in 2018, Robinson gave few interviews.
All the mainstream media do is lie.
But a primetime spot on Fox News confirmed his audience had reached global proportions.
The minute you mention criticize Islam, you are deemed and attacked by everybody.
When his retrial got underway with the threat of prison time looming, his supporters showed they'll have his back. And when he speaks his mind, they'll listen.
So just to be clear, Tommy Robinson hasn't been involved in the riots this week on the ground himself.
No, the irony here is he's been thousands of kilometers away posting about these riots from the beach, soaking up the sun in Greece and in Cyprus. The tabloids caught up with him there. Pointedly, British prosecutors have said that if you're on social media influencing and egging on these riots from abroad, you will be extradited. They haven't named him, but in any case, he has to be back in a London court in person in front of a judge in October. The judge ordered him to be there in a separate libel case. He's already in a bunch of trouble and could be in deeper trouble soon.
All right, Thomas Day.
Wow. Still got you muted there. That welcome everybody to Civilian Discourse. I'm Mastermind Hour, and of course I'm joined by the great Abby Dew.
Hello everybody. Good to see you again. And yeah, good to see you again. And yeah, wow is the right term. That was just, of course, an American organization is funding him. Of course.
I don't think that surprises anybody. When this all started, the first thing that went through my head is, okay, so somebody put this guy up there. Was he just eating all the propaganda that the U.S. had been pumping out since 9/11, or was he actually getting paid by AIPAC or some Zionist organization to demean and belittle the Islamic community? Still not sure. I'm leaning towards that now, though. He seems motivated that much. To be motivated that much, I think he's getting paid. Hate will drive you a long way, but money will drive you even further, I think.
Further.
Yeah.
Yes. Jackie says that Nigel Farage is just as responsible. So,
yeah.
I didn't know who that was. I had to look him up. It's a British politician and broadcaster who has been a member of Parliament for Clapton and a leader of Reform UK.
Is he kind of a UK Alex Jones-ish? Well, no, let's see, former politician.
Yeah, former politician. Alex Jones would be like I don't know.
I think he's one of a kind. Alex Jones is the patron saint of the Tin Rabbit podcast, so I can't badmouth him too much.
Yes, Robbie, I'm warm. So your better half says Nigel is she's asking, is Nigel another influencer?
Yes,
we need Jacqueline to jump in.
Yes, as Americans, we're woefully uninformed about British politics, which we're woefully uninformed about our own. So I guess I can't blame us for not looking at everybody else when we're afraid to look at ourselves.
Right. So Cobra says, remember he got hit with Burger King ice cream about 8 years ago or something during all that time? Let's talk about Nigel. Somebody should hit him with a shoe.
Yeah, right.
Like Bush, remember that one?
I had to duck a couple. Yeah, that's that. And I guess that in Islam or in Muslim, that's a huge insult to get hit with a shoe. I can't think of it being complimentary in any culture, but I think especially, I don't think anybody enjoys that. I think, was it the Egyptians or the ancient Romans used to paint the faces of their enemies on the soles of their feet, on the bottom of their feet, so they could walk on their face all day. I thought that was a pretty good one, right? I mean, that's petty as fuck. It's petty, petty as hell.
Maybe you just write their name, write somebody's name on the bottom.
Right.
You know what? I'm going to try that.
Yeah, I'm going to start writing Twitter handles and YouTube usernames on the bottom of my foot.
Right. So I wanted to talk about the UK riots today because everybody here in Baton Rouge, in the United States, keeps talking about this civil war, the Civil War. We kind of talk about that because I'm like, okay, how do you know who you're going to fight? And are you going to wear uniforms? Like, how is that supposed to happen? Especially when our families are so spread out. Like, which side are you supposed to be on? Because I have family like on the West Coast,
Right.
on
Well,
the East
and
Coast. Like, what are we doing?
if they wanted a civil war, the oligarchs, the powers, whoever, if they wanted us to have a civil war, then they kind of effed up because they made housing too expensive. So now we can't self-sort. Because when you poll people, it's like, who do you not want to live next to? It's not the wrong religion. It's not the wrong race. The majority of the people don't want to live next to the wrong party. So the Reds and the Blues, they want to separate. They actually want to move away from each other. You know, the Blues want to move out of the red states and the Reds want to move out of the blue states. But now housing's so expensive that they can't do it now. So the government inadvertently at least delayed that civil war for a while.
Thank goodness.
Right.
So, go ahead.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's the whole reason that they keep talking about civil war is because they want us to assume it's red against blue instead of, 99% against 1%. They're going to come up with any other bad guy other than themselves. And I think that's what's going on in the UK right now. Their political house isn't in order either. So these Islamophobic sentiment is I'm thinking probably has a little bit to do with that as well.
Starkey is here. He says we can't even sort out our homeless camps, which is true. Well, California did. They just took everybody's shit and told them move. I don't know where they went to. Like where? Just to another homeless camp? I mean, I don't. Anyway, that's for another show. I found something really interesting that I wanted to talk to you about. It's a former British soldier, and he's breaking down why he's exposing the UK riots. Well, that's the name of the title, but he's breaking down like what's happening with the UK riots and how the riots are being used to kind of fuel a civil war, because they want a civil war in the UK as well. Yeah. And I'm guessing it's because people are waking up to the shenanigans of red versus blue and whatever they have going on in the UK, and they need to make sure we don't come together and focus our attention on them. That's what I'm guessing.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I think that's exactly it. Yeah, they don't care. They'll crank it up to 11. They don't care if we kill each other in the streets, just as long as we don't look at them while we're doing it.
Right, exactly. So this is really interesting. If you want to say something, just start talking and I'll pause it. Because it's like 11 minutes and he says some really interesting stuff. So just let me know and I'll pause it for you.
Or I'll just shout it out quick enough. I can, unless he's a fast talker.
Well, we'll see. Okay.
Week, the far right have been attacking police stations, burning businesses, attacking police officers, lynching people, and attacking mosques, and sometimes attacking their own. I wonder where this could have come from.
A highly political, highly violent ideology called Islamism is sweeping our nation.
Still on this subject, as Suella Braverman has said, Islamists are in charge of Britain now.
They've got control of Caen and they've got control of London. He's actually given our capital city away to his mates.
We have a growing number of young people in this country who do not subscribe to British values, in fact, loathe much of what we stand for.
Are we talking about Muslims here?
We are.
One of the slogans that the far-right rallies have adopted
Sounds
is
like Fox with an English accent.
some backwater estate. It came from Rishi Sunak, until recently the Prime Minister of this country. And it can't be a secret to anyone that gutter rags like the Daily Mail and others have been pumping out anti-Muslim and anti-migrant propaganda
Gutter
for decades.
rags, I like
We saw
that.
some very strange things during the riots. I mean, first of all, they seem to have burned down a Citizens Advice Bureau. If you're poor, I remember when I was growing up pretty poor, we were always down the CAB. It's very useful for working class people. So burning it down is probably not in the interest of poorer communities. They raided a Greggs, a blow against the working class, and a Lush. So
Instead of a
you're
police
enjoying your
station
pomegranate
or
peppermint body scrub.
Right, exactly. Instead of a police station or a government building.
Right, going straight to Parliament. Nah, let's go knock down a gas station where people get their food.
Yeah, let's go steal some stuff.
Oh
Which
yeah,
I'm fine with that, but
right. But they went for Bed Bath and Beyond. It's not like they're stealing food from a food store.
right.
They got their scented candles.
I mean, I guess somebody's gonna have a date tonight.
Right.
So
If you
okay,
just
I'm gonna
hit-
start back. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say you can hit K to hit play instead of having to use your mouse if you want.
Oh, and how and K to pause as well?
I think so.
Okay. That means the click goes.
Oh, right on. Oh no, I like the clip. Please.
So we stopped it right where it says and peppermint body scrub
Over
your
here's
tattoo.
yeah. They need to keep that
Oh my
moisturized
gosh.
so it doesn't scab.
K is not working.
Okay, well
Oh,
you're
you know
gonna.
what? This is maybe because this is a Mac. You have a Windows.
Oh, you're a Mac mama.
Yeah, I'm a Mac mama.
Over your swastika tattoo to keep it all smooth. And someone stole some Crocs from a shoe zone. Not even proper Crocs, shoe zone Crocs. So I don't even know what
Knockoff
country was
Crocs.
there. Turns out that by taking their country back, what they actually meant was taking mobile phones from O2.
Right.
This morning ritual will change your life. You're going to want to listen
Oh.
to this. This is Ava, your new best.
I mean, that might be another reason for getting YouTube Premium.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
Expectation that white people had to get their house in order when they were digging bodies out from under Fred West patio, or when Jimmy Savile ran amok and abused people for years. But I don't recall white people being told they had to get their house in order when someone shot 16 kids and a teacher in Dunblane, or any number of
Selective
other
outrage.
examples like that. When people of colour commit
Mhm.
crime, it always seems to be connected to their culture and ethnicity. Almost immediately, there were claims that the alleged killer in Southport was a migrant that had come off a boat. There was almost a desperation. There was a desire for whoever did this to be a Muslim. And when it was revealed, in fact, he was a British Christian kid, there was a rapid attempt to reorientate it about this kid being black. Apparently, he's from a Rwandan background, and the speed with which it was redirected. But they forget that a man of colour went in to try and save those girls, one of whom also was from a migrant background, as I understand it. And then 2 days later, in the same country, down the road, still in North England, you have black people and Muslims being lynched, actually lynched, like it's the American South. We're definitely seeing something like it was in the 1970s when the National Front were on the street and Asians, black people being beaten up on the street. There's definitely an echo of that. The far right have been resurgent for a number of reasons. And one of those reasons is the way that people who are for Palestine, they want to see justice for Palestine, have been demonized, not just by the far right, not just by these grifters like Tommy Robinson and co, but also by elements within the British state.
To my mind, there's only one way to describe those marches. They are hate marches.
It is bizarre to suggest that hundreds of thousands of people, mums with prams, nans, students, people coming out on the demos that I've been out on myself, the massive demos in solidarity with Palestine, are somehow, by any stretch of the imagination, hate marches, but that people burning down businesses and attacking mosques are expressing legitimate concerns, I think is the term that they like to use. That is completely bizarre.
It's completely intentional. Completely intentional. Oh, you're muted there. So you got yourself muted. There we go.
Yeah, I was saying the media does that here too.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. And when I was seeing all the spray paint stuff, it's like, well, I know the Klan is, an American thing, but those people came from somewhere, and it just happens to be where this guy's standing. So, that sentiment came across the boat on the boat with them.
Interesting. Hi, Bryce. Hi. I didn't say hi to Cheryl yet. Hi, Zombie. Who else? Everybody else in the chat. Okay, I'm gonna start it again.
Does beg a question when you look at the kind of contours of racism and prejudice in this country. If it were synagogues being burnt down, would any of the figures we've talked about today be as quiet as we are now? I suspect not. If you're a student of history, if you look at the rise of the Nazis and prejudice in other places, you will see that in the press and by public figures, there's a long process of demonization and framing those people as an enemy within who need to be disciplined and marginalized and ultimately
Or
gotten rid of.
animals.
Fascism is a complex beast, how it changes and reformulates around different things. Before the Second World War, Jewish people were the punchbag. At other times, it's been other people, it's been the Irish, it's been black people in this country. At the moment, the punchbags, the people who are othered and demeaned, are Muslims. That's very clear. And part of that is about British foreign policy. Islamophobia is a key component in British foreign policy around places like Gaza. In the past, around places like Iraq and Afghanistan, Islamophobia was a key element. It was part of the intellectual case. Britain didn't go to war in those places just because it doesn't like Muslims. It went there to take their things. Islamophobia or other kinds of racism in other contexts is always the lubricant. It's
By
what
things, I think he
dehumanizes
means
those
oil.
people so that people can allow it to happen and not feel too bad, because those people aren't really people. They're some other kind of people. They're some lesser order of people. And it's absolutely essential, not just to far-right politics, it's completely built on it, but also to British foreign policy. I myself was involved in the war in Afghanistan as a soldier, and I'm aware, have seen the devastation that was caused. So it's completely understandable. This cause and effect that people would not be able to live there anymore because of the violence that the occupation produced. If you're moaning about brown people being in this country, you have to understand that many of those people are here precisely because we were in the countries which they may have originated in. And that is still the case with people coming over to the UK now. Many of them are Afghans, many of them are Syrians, many of them are Iraqis. These are all places which Britain has interfered with or occupied. This is not just a historical process, okay? This is something that is now, that continues to happen. We have a colonial past, as I've said before, but also a colonial and an imperial present. You have to be able to.
Yeah, I find it interesting how people think colonization is like, oh, that's something in the history book. Like,
Right.
it's happening right in front of your face.
Still going on to this day.
Yeah. Did it ever stop? And it amazes me how many people don't understand that those migrants are here because we destabilized their country. Like, what part of that is confusing for you? I don't get it.
Well,
it's like they don't pay attention.
Yeah, what I was going to talk. Oh, yeah, even the American imperial. We still have territories that we, as Americans, keep hold of. Guam and Puerto Rico, and we even had the Philippines. I think we might have given those back at some
We
point.
had like four.
But yeah, we're not going to make them a state, and so what are we doing? We're just hanging on to them. I don't know.
I would add Hawaii to that.
Yeah. Oh
Even
yeah.
though it's a state.
Well, yeah. At least they got statehood. I don't know how they managed that. Good, bully for them. But sorry, we were there in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Golden.
Too bad you were a really strategic island right in the middle of the Pacific Ocean during World War II. Sucks to be you.
Sucks to be you. Golden Monarch says, I'm trying to put it up. The day the UK Parliament removes universal health care from UK, then no more UK. It's just essentially the United States.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, right. It'll just be like another Southern accent.
The Queen of Hawaii married a general back in World War II.
That's
how they got statehood.
I think that was before. Yeah, I think that's how they snuck in. You know, that's how all those monarchs work. You have to marry into them.
Mm. Yep. Yes, Golden.
Mercy. Yeah.
Now
Right.
it's laundering for land. Yes.
Yeah, but Oprah. I don't even want to talk about Oprah because I'll just get myself in trouble on that one. I'm not one of her big fans any.
Yeah, I just can't stand her.
Okay, well then I guess I won't get in too much trouble because
No, I can't stand her. I mean, the black community loves her because she's Oprah, but she's not a good person.
well, and that's what makes me sad is after this I started looking back at old Oprah. Every time I see an old Oprah clip and she says something kind of questionable, I was like, damn, it was there the whole time. And, everybody.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I've been doing that a lot where now that I've got the rose-colored glasses on and I go back and look at some of this old video, it's like, oh shit, they were telling us the whole time. We just weren't paying attention. I think, maybe I'm not so much woke as I'm just, alert. Can you be alert without being overly woke? I think that might be my category if there's somewhere there.
Hmm. Yeah, I wish they would have gave what's happening a different name than woke.
Well,
Just ruin the damn word.
They do that with everything. Fuck. Disney made Black Panther. They made Winter Soldier. So now, if you search either one of those titles, you're not going to find the Black Panther movement or the Winter Soldier. You're going to find Disney movies. So they're not erasing history. They're just burying it on. You have to go down to the 6th page before you actually find the actual Black Panther movement and not some Marvel knockoff, spin-off.
So
Merch.
So that was probably done on purpose.
Wait a minute, I got something to say.
Exactly what it was. Absolutely done on purpose. And same thing with woke. If you take a word and you bastardize it and you dilute it, you take its power away.
It's kind of like what they did with the breakdancing at the Olympics. They
Yeah, nobody's gonna be a fan of breakdancing anymore now. That's kind of like when your parents use a word, it no longer becomes cool. Yeah, when they put the breakdancing in the Olympics and it looks like that, it's not cool anymore.
No, it was hilarious.
Yeah, it was good for a laugh.
And I'm like, well, where are the black people? What?
Yeah.
It's in the United States, like what? Huh?
Well,
What is
better
happening here?
better half hour was show me, and I was like, is this like the Pan Olympics? They have like those X Games and stuff where they're trying out stuff. Is this Pan Olympics? Is this Special Olympics? What is this? Because I could not believe that was the actual world stage and they were doing that. That was bad.
It was really bad. It was so bad. But we got a lot of comedic humor out of it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. But and I always it's always a heartwarming story because there's always this one country that'll send like 3 athletes, and like the Jamaican bobsled team where they don't even have ice, so they had to practice. So they didn't do great. They did in the bottom, but they're the feel good story. And there was an archer where he taught himself, and he just like, oh, we're gonna send somebody. I'll try archery, and they just went, and he took a shot, and they thought the arrow missed, or disappeared. But because it's the Olympics, they have the zoom in on the 3 or 4 rings, and he was clear out on the one. So it wasn't a great archer, but that's one of those great feel good stories that got the experience, and I don't know.
Yeah, she's so happy, even though she has 0 points. And the crazy part is she has a PhD in breakdancing.
No, there's no such thing.
There is in Australia.
Oh man, okay. Yeah, no, I can't make sense of it. I can't. There's nothing.
They were
Oh,
allowing men to box
No, tell me that's not
trans women.
Tell me that's not true.
no, it wasn't even trans. She was XXY, so she just had a little extra testosterone, and she was a buff girl. I wouldn't have wanted to fight her. I mean, seriously, I wouldn't. She had some guns on her, so there were.
I think I saw her. A
there were
picture
some.
of her because people were saying she wasn't a woman, but she really is a woman. She just.
I think she's got double set of plumbing is one of those.
Oh.
Yeah.
But she's not intersex.
I think she's got an extra. I think she had high testosterone. She may have an extra. She may have an XXY situation.
Mm.
They had a medical doctor talk about it. I think it's.
Did they make her take estrogen?
No, they didn't make her take
I don't
Remember
think
that
so.
that track star? This she's from, I can't remember where she's from. They made her take estrogen to get into the, was it the Olympics? I'm not sure. She looks very masculine, but she's actually intersex, I think. She's like born without a uterus, but she has like the parts.
Right.
So I think she has too much she has too much testosterone because
She doesn't have the estrogen maker.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
Right.
So yeah, that'll, and
But I feel like if Michael Phelps, he has an advantage because he doesn't produce, I forgot what that stuff is. That the stuff that doesn't make that makes your muscles not
lactic acid. Yeah.
Yeah, like okay. He doesn't produce a lot of that. And so
he can.
I mean, isn't that what the best athletes are? There are people who are born with something.
Mutatic, yeah. They all have some sort of mutation. Otherwise, they would just be working at a gas station somewhere. They wouldn't be world athletes.
Cheryl says a deformity that's not true.
I don't even know what that means. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I mean, if you have lady parts and you just happen to, there's some women who are born with two uteruses.
Right.
So they're still a woman.
And Olympics is through qualifications. That's how you get into the Olympics. You got to try. It's a trial, and you qualify.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not like boxing. You know.
See, and
it's been said. I seen someone say that boxing has never let anyone that's trans or had a sex change participate in the sport. They never ever did that, and you can go back and look at it. They never did it.
They haven't done it yet, right?
No, and if that's why I heard a couple of other social media and media personalities say that they knew that Olympics did not allow that, but they were caught up in the media push that that's the man, even though their rational mind was telling them, hey, the Olympics does not allow that. They just got caught up in the push of that's a man and the whole social media going viral thing.
Mm-hmm.
well, and the swimming's one thing where everybody can, and that one, that's the equipment issue, still having the junk. But
the junk.
Yeah, with the swimming, I don't, I get where they think it's unfair or whatever, but it's the combat sports that kind of gets to me when you're hitting and I don't know, maybe I just, when I was watching those two fight, it blew my mind that they were in the same weight class because being 6 inches taller and looking like that, I don't know. I guess the other one was just carrying too much junk in the trunk or something. But it was amazing to me that they were fighting each other. It did not seem like it. On paper, I guess maybe it was a fair fight, but yeah, that poor girl took one in the face and was like, "Nope, I'm out." And I guess
I saw this trans woman boxer, and she was like beating up everybody, right? And I'm like, why? But this one woman beat the shit out of her ass, and I was kind of like, yes,
right, even though you shouldn't, but yeah, it's like, are you justified for cheering her on because, or just, because.
right. I think they should, like, if you're a trans woman, you have to. Maybe they need their own. I think they might need their own.
Right? Or, they can always fight the guys,
Right. You can either fight the guys.
Yeah,
or
nobody
if a
said they
girl
couldn't.
Says she will fight you, then that's different. But
Right. To be thrown in a tournament. Yeah. That's I get that. Even though she was like a weird Trumpy right, that swimmer that was that went up that came in second, she had a legitimate gripe. I mean, she's trained her whole life to get to that point, and then to have it taken away at the last minute by somebody who was way faster than her and way faster than everybody else. Then even if it was legit, it's not fun when there's that, nobody likes a runaway. Nobody wants to watch a basketball game, that's 100-40. People
They have a rule. If you're getting beat by 20, it's over. You should just cancel the game.
Right.
I can't stand blowouts. No one wants to watch a blowout.
Exactly. And that swimmer, because she did swim against guys before, and was ranked in the third, was not high up on the list. So everybody's going to immediately think, oh, that's a shortcut to getting a gold medal. It just doesn't look good any way you cut it. And and is it Leah Thomas? God, now I remember the name. See, that's what pisses me off. I don't know any swimmer, but I know that one. So,
I think it's Leah something.
So so just pull it, and that's what they want to do is pull focus. They're pulling focus on some stupid college swimmer instead of what's really going on around us, and who's pulling the strings and who we're working for.
And the lady, I think her name is Iman Khalif.
Oh, and the boxer? Yes. Yeah,
I think so. Okay, we're getting off topic.
Oh, we're way off topic now.
So before I go back to what the guy was saying, I wanted to play something that is funny.
Yeah, Michael, all the way back to the Black Sox, Chicago Black Sox.
What? And by the way, there's a comment from Golden Monarch, so maybe you could talk about it on your tomorrow. We got you, Golden. Okay.
What, this one?
Yeah.
This one?
Girl forfeited the fight after one punch. Yeah.
No, not that. I'll show you. Okay, so this is funny. So this is about how he was saying, that man was saying that if a person of color does it, it's like the whole community has done something.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And when
you're a monolith when it's bad.
Right. And it's an isolated incident if it's a white person. So SNL did this skit. And I just figured
now I know which one.
Now you know what I'm talking about. Okay.
I just started.
Okay. I think you'll like this.
This is the morning. And welcome back to WANU Midday News.
Coming up, the mayor's office announced a bold new plan to revamp the city's infrastructure.
And it's about time. But first, yet another gas station has fallen prey to an armed robbery. A Shell station in the 4,000 block of Pulaski Highway was robbed around 11:45 a.m. this morning, making that a total of 7 gas stations to be attacked in the last week.
Ooh, scary stuff.
And we're told the suspect remains at large, but authorities believe they now have a credible description of the perp. The suspect, described as a white male.
Ooh, love it!
I'm sorry, what? What are you two celebrating?
Oh, nothing. We're just glad that we know what the criminal looks like, and he ain't one of us. You know what I'm
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about?
Anyway, the suspect,
White guy.
was last spotted fleeing the scene on foot. So anyone with this information is being asked to contact the MPD immediately.
Yes, help us catch this white criminal.
In other news, a Ponzi scheme has shaken some of Miami's wealthiest residents.
That's money off the show.
Clement Smith of Clement Smith Investment Securities is accused of committing this egregious white-collar crime.
Right there in the name.
Smith is said to have been operating a multi-billion-dollar Ponzi scheme.
Now, you know black people ain't got that kind of money.
He was arrested this morning in Boca Raton. And look at that. He's black.
Really? What?
Okay, so I guess we tied, you know. $1 for one of yours.
No, this is ridiculous. No one's keeping score. Okay, we have an update on that tropical storm we've been tracking. Let's hear from WANU weatherman Dennis Jones. Dennis?
Thanks, Pam. What we've previously been calling a tropical storm has upgraded to a Category 4 hurricane. It's destroying just about everything in its path with incredibly high winds. Now, we're calling this one Hurricane Chet, and that's a white man's name if I've ever heard one. And that makes 2 of y'all. We leave, baby. Back in the game. Gang.
No way! That doesn't count. Hurricanes aren't white.
Well, unless they name Chet.
Right.
Okay, can we move on from this petty game, please?
Oh, because y'all losing?
Okay, how convenient.
Okay, let's just get back to the news. A Fort Lauderdale man was apprehended outside of a Cracker Barrel for cutting brake lines on a dozen bird scooters.
See, only white people got that kind of time, okay?
Okay, yeah, he's white. So what?
So now we're down to 1.
It's not looking good for y'all today. A shopper was apprehended by security at Oceanside Mall for assaulting a man who stepped on his Air Jordans.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say Air Jordans?
Oh, that's black for sure.
Whoa.
You know, I knew it as soon as I saw it.
Okay, and how about this one? A local woman attacked a cashier at a nail shop after they refused to take her welfare card.
Oh, Lord.
Police say they're looking for a 19-year-old white. Damn it!
All right, let's get that back. Police say a Latino man.
Skip that one. We don't need that. Okay, how about this? How about a man on a rock climbing trip was mauled by a bison for the 2nd time in 3 months? See, y'all don't learn. Y'all don't like to learn.
Okay, just keep reading.
This incident happened in the Utah National State Park.
Not looking good.
Family of the man, now identified as Laquan Jenkins.
Yes!
What are you doing?
What an upset.
A Laquan rock climbing in Utah.
That's okay. We still tied up, baby. We tied up. Let's go.
All right, next one takes it. Okay. A man dressed as the Joker.
You know that word. Good day.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, that's funny. That's
I thought you would
Saturday
like
night. SNL has its hits and misses, so, but they're good. They're good. I'll give them credit for that.
And hey, Kit.
Yeah, Kit's in the house.
Kit's in the house. Steve's in the house.
Oh, there's Sean, Steve. I said hi to Jacqueline. Zombie. Sorry, I've been finally got my chat up.
Oh, should we get
The professional that I am.
should we get back to
Yeah, back to the since that's what everybody came to see. We'll give them a little, right? Maybe
a little
I even put on my Guinness T-shirt just for the occasion.
just for the occasion.
The-
Rondo's in the
Nice
house.
example of Irish craftsmanship. You notice that the logo's offset to the side, and all the seams are messed up. So I actually got it from the actual Guinness plant in Dublin. So you know that they were drinking Guinness when they made this shirt.
They were drunk.
Yes, they were.
It has character. Oh wait,
Yeah.
wait. Let me
It's
go
an
back.
original, just like me.
just like you. Okay, so here we go. So they're talking about, we stopped at colonialism.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, just pull it back a little bit.
Yeah, you could tell this guy was a soldier. He's got the perspective. Oh, it's muted.
Oh, you can't hear it?
Yeah, no, the mute's on. You see the little mute thing? Oh, no, you have to unmute it. I can't.
It's not on mute.
The screen is on.
The little one down there.
Look.
Oop, down there.
See? It's on mute right.
In StreamYard.
It's not on mute on mine. Can you unmute it?
I cannot. It has to be done by you. I do not have the ability.
Oh, that's interesting because I don't see it on mute. Okay,
It's on a guest screen. You aren't. It says you aren't captured.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's all right. You got it. We got you.
It's a breeze in the park right here. Compared to what? Tumultuous.
Here we go.
It's great. You got that.
Yeah.
This is not just.
We'll clip this part later.
Now it continues to happen. We have a colonial past, as I've said before, but also a colonial and an imperial present. You have to be able to look at this from the perspective of the ruling class. They benefit from this stuff. Remember, fascism serves the ruling class. It serves capitalism. That's what it's for. It's to put us all back in our place when things are going badly wrong. When the capitalist class see people from working class communities, white, brown, black, Muslim, whatever, they are laughing. It suits them that we're all at each other's teeth. The person to the right and left of you is not the enemy. It's the person up there who's taking a big chunk of your wages for his own enrichment. He wants you to fight. It's a story as old as time, as old as class itself. That I don't see a working class which is white. There are white working class people. There is a section of the working class which is white. I come from it myself. I'm very aware of it. But the idea that there is only a white working class, these ridiculous ideas. It's an economic category. It's people who sell their labor. So the working class is multi-ethnic, incredibly diverse. And what I would like to see and hope I see is the trade unions in this country. They have historically always been the organized working class, an essential barrier against fascism and racism. And it needs to be that again, because there's more of this stuff, as I've said, coming down the pipe. The economy continues to decay. The far right will be there waiting to latch onto it. Fascists have always been conspiracy.
No lies detected.
Expression of that, which I often see, for example, on veterans forums, is the great replacement theory, which is this kind of victim fantasia that white people are being replaced. These should be, at most, marginal theories held onto by a couple of cranky weirdos. But there are major public figures who seem to have some kind of sympathy towards these ideas. One of those is Elon Musk, who often cites theories like that or adjacent to that. And this is much more serious because he's not just some marginalized weirdo. This is a man who owns a social media platform. And that, of course, just expands it. It's exponentially more.
You know, I don't see why people love Elon Musk so much. It's like, why do they fantasize about Elon Musk? He's
because Gen X, everybody else is a boomer, so he's the one Gen X person that people can point at and go, he's like me. Maybe I could be like him.
He's horrible.
No,
like
yeah,
all of his wealth his daddy gave him from exploiting people, black people, Africans in South Africa. Stolen valor.
Yeah, he stole well, he didn't steal it, but he had it. When he bought it, he made it contractually part of the deal that he would be described as a founder of Tesla, even though he just came in and bought it. Pulled a Bill Gates.
It's like Bill Gates.
Yeah. You know, and I used to say that the only thing that Bill Gates ever wrote was the DOS operating system. Turns out he stole that too. So he's never done it. He's never made anything in his damn life.
I was just about to say, you guys notice the trend? That's Drake-ish. Right? It's the thing.
Supposed to be adminning.
But this guy that we're listening to here, you can tell that he was a soldier and he's been on the wrong end of it because he's focused like a laser on what the problem is and who's causing it.
Exactly. That's why I wanted to play it.
Yeah.
And another person that acts like they're, they were like in on it, started from the bottom, now we're here, is RFK Jr. So, they paint him as this big environmental lawyer, what have you.
Right.
I think Nahilo told me this. When all he really did was went and bought a firm.
Yep. That's exactly what he did. He bought an environmental law firm. And yeah, now I'm going to make my prediction when it finally comes out that I know that he's a big Zionist fan, but I think he's going to end up being a big pharma plant. I think the whole Kennedy is a big pharma plant. So I think he's just following in his uncle's and his father's footsteps.
You heard it from here first, folks.
Mark my words.
All right. So here we go.
To that. And this is much more serious because he's not just some marginalized weirdo. This is a man who owns a social media platform. And that, of course, just expands it. It's exponentially more dangerous and more people will be engaged with it. So we have to remember this man was born into wealth. He's an oligarch. He's not your friend. I always go back to the idea that the enemy comes in a private jet and not a boat. We have to understand this is part of what fascists do. They are parasitic. They parasitize causes and they parasitize events, whether it's questions about immigration, whether it's girls in Rotherham being gang raped, etc., etc. They will always try and parasitize those events. And it is not because fascists are somehow feminist. Fascism, I think, has a particular appeal, masculine appeal. It prizes masculinity, in particular, a kind of militarized and violent masculinity.
Can you pause it?
And I think that's something that's happened over the
Just going back to that, they were marching with that banner that said something about keeping protecting from Muslim groomers. Now, a banner that big, that isn't organic. Somebody didn't go to work that day and go, you know what, I'm going to print this out. That was paid, bought. All of this stuff is not people organically getting together just because they're mad. These are people that are pissed that are being sheepdogged into this by them. Whoever the English them is, we've got a them. They're all the same them. They're all
the same them. Cobra says, "What the fuck is that?"
Right?
Muslim grooming. All right, so
It's where you take your alpacas to get their hair cut.
boom, boom. I love it.
The Southport killings and subsequent riots, we're all looking at common factors. And for people on the right, that seems to be race. He's from here, he might be that. To the point where they even made it up. They wanted it to be a certain thing. It was actually something else, but they jumped on it. Refugee background, migrant background, a black kid, or whatever. But I think probably a more important uniting factor when we look at these kind of events, when we look at killings against women and girls, but also against other people, is that it's basically always blokes and violent masculinity. I suspect in the long term that is something we will see, perhaps in the case of the young man who carried out the killing, but certainly also in the response. There's been some discussion about measures which the state will take against protesters and particular kinds of IDs, particular kinds of surveillance. And this is a very dangerous and slippery slope. And we've seen under the Tories, and I would suggest it will continue under Starmer, all kinds of authoritarian bills about protest, about surveillance, about policing powers, about intelligence powers coming down the pipe. And the ones that Tories...
Well, that's happening here too.
Well, and now that the Brits are getting a real taste of censorship and actually going to jail for liking a tweet, I wonder if they would have been as peaceful at Belmarsh Prison when there were 10,000 people around there for Julian Assange. Maybe if they had a taste of this, they would have been a little more active in getting him out of there. Instead of holding hands and singing Kumbaya, maybe they would have put a little of this energy into getting him out of there.
No, they can't do that. They have to sit
It's the
there and
wrong
fight
kind
with
of
each
hate.
other.
Yeah,
Right.
wrong kind of hate.
Right.
brought in. It's very...
Hey, before I start, Cobra, can you say what a MGTOW is? I don't know what that
I
is.
don't know, but Cobra has made me laugh. With
White people have a divorce problem. I think it's hilarious to see them
sorry.
trash men all over the internet talking about MGTOW. There was younger women like them. That's a new one on me.
Hey, what's that? Incels? That's
Incels.
something incels. That's different?
Involuntary celibates.
Yeah, but this is something different.
This is people getting
Oh,
divorced.
men going their own way. What the fuck? Yes.
Ah,
That's happening a lot because women are like, wait a minute, you
That's
just want to
amazing.
you want a maid, a sex slave, and a mommy.
That's amazing.
No, thank you. I could do all this by myself,
yeah.
and I have to go to work.
It's
Oh no.
Amazing. I've never fucking heard of it, but it was great.
But I really want to know what a MGTOW is. Oh,
But-
men going their own way. Oh,
Yeah.
Hilarious. Well, how far y'all gonna go? Because y'all don't cook, you don't do shit.
Well, and I think it's probably generational, you know, because we went from the boomers and then given the Gen Xers, you know, metal toys and yard darts to when Gen Xers are having, you know, the millennials and they have everything bubble wrapped. When you grow up in that, you're going to have a completely different perspective than the generation before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
because I'm seeing a lot of men on Facebook and stuff like saying women need to lower their expectations. No, they we're gonna grow old with cats if we don't lower our expectations. And I'm like, growing old with a cat sounds
Yeah, right,
pretty good.
right. You don't have to cook a 3-course meal for a cat. You can just open up a can of food and they're happy as hell.
And they're happy, yes. And you don't have to wash their clothes and clean up behind them.
Just a cat box, but that's got to be better, right? At some point.
And women have social. We're very social. Like we're just gonna hang out with our friends. I mean,
Yeah.
what's the big deal?
Well, and you were talking about how. Oh, damn it! I just lost it.
I think he meant Gen X, Rondo. Gen X is behind millennials, right?
Oh no, I'm Gen X. Millennials are.
Oh, Gen Z.
Yeah, Gen Z. That's the one I was looking for.
That's the one you were looking for. Yeah, Gen Z.
Gen Z. Yeah. So when they, start, they're going to have a completely different attitude about relationships. Oh, that's where I was going to go. So all that tells me is that as the generations advance, religion is becoming less and less important to them. And so that just tells me that all the people haven't changed, but their situations have changed. So if it's religion that was keeping people from getting divorced, then religion is kind of anti-woman, misogynistic.
And religion was what told you the man is the head of the household.
Right.
You have to submit to him and
women
then
can't even hold property.
Right. Then they passed laws that women couldn't. And now you see why, because if now that women are working, because you have to have a two-person household just to survive most of these places, around
That's
the
a
country.
feature, not a bug.
Right. So now that women have their own money, they're just like, wait, fuck this shit. I could do all this by myself.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago when women couldn't even take out a credit card without having her husband co-sign for it. So and we're talking, my lifetime, easily 70s, I think, 80s maybe.
Oh, so Nahila says, isn't it just as often women who go their own way, but there's no slogan for it? I just said the slogan, the crazy cat lady.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
JD Vance just made it very popular.
Oh yeah, he sure did.
Very popular now to be a cat lady.
He sure did.
So go ahead, man. Hook him up.
Okay.
Yeah.
let's get back to him. This is like an 11-minute thing, and it's taking us an hour to go through.
That's all right.
We're
still
just
got 2
having
minutes
discourse.
left. Right, that's the idea.
Sean says they call them cougars.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so here we go. Men are salmons because they are swimming upstream. All right, let me get back to it.
Cougars have specific agendas. You got to use that name right. Not everybody's a cougar.
That's true. Oh, Nahilo says spinster. That's like that's an older term, spinster.
Yes.
That sounds more
Old maid.
derogatory.
Old
Yeah.
maid.
That sounds more derogatory than cat lady. Or even crazy cat lady.
Yeah. Simpsons.
Rondo says, so essentially humans are lost in the woods. Men are talking to trees while women are talking to bears. You remember that?
That meme? I'd rather
about
talk.
the women talking to, yeah.
Mhm. Were you more scared of a bear or a man?
So then they did a one for men saying, I forgot what it was. Like, would you rather talk to a tree or to a woman or something like that? Yeah, to a tree or a woman. Which is odd because, well, I'll just let it be. All right, so here we go.
With the tree, you get a word in.
Oh,
sorry, it was there. It was there. Come on, it was there. Come on, it was there.
Rondo said the tree would listen.
Right?
Hey, that was good too.
Well, that's not what I was gonna go with, but okay. I was gonna talk more about men not really using their emotions and expressing their emotions where the conversation could actually
They're gonna be hiding
had.
behind the tree crying.
Okay, that's fair. I'll take that. That's fair.
They hide behind the tree.
That's right, Cobra. Oh.
It's probably better to talk to the tree than to beat around the bush. I'd rather talk to a woman over anything. Heck, I'd rather find.
Oh, I'm sorry. Keep reading.
Oh no, that was it. Heck, I'd rather fight with a woman than be alone. Speaking as someone who's been with my spouse for 13 years, right? Yeah, I'd be a mess without better half. She got that name for a reason.
I know you would.
Mm-hmm.
Hilo says, I wonder how many women would rather be alone than fight all of the time.
You know, I've been in a situation like that where the fighting gets so bad that you're like, heck with human beings altogether. And then you're alone for a while, and then you realize that you do actually need other human beings in your life, and you just have to find the right one. You just can't get it's the word I'm looking for.
Complacent.
Discouraged. You can't get discouraged. You have to keep looking. But it was when I stopped looking that I found better half. That's usually the way it is.
They say that's the way it is.
Yeah, I was dating, and it was going badly for a couple months, and I was like, screw it, I'm not even going to try anymore. And like a week later, I met better half.
Well, I'm glad you found her.
That's the lesson that men need to learn, is that women can smell desperation
from a mile away.
Oh yeah, yeah. Even if you don't think you're coming off desperate, if you're looking, they know it. And men are always looking, so they're highly attuned to it.
Cat Williams did like a skit about, he was like, where are my married people? And they're like, and he's like, now where are my single people? And it just went crazy.
Yeah, right.
And he was just like, look at him, look at him. The married people are like, oh, I'm tired of this motherfucker. And the single people are like out in the club doing this, doing that. He said, until that day you're in the kitchen alone talking about, Jesus, please bring me somebody.
I'm so lonely.
I'm so lonely.
How about when you see people you think that they'll never find the one, but they with somebody and they so happy. You like, what the fuck is wrong with me? That shit is
Oh
funny.
yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to
Yeah, we still got 2 minutes left and sun's going down.
Okay.
Unlikely Starmer, who has a profound authoritarian streak, will surveillance,
a
about
little
policing
bit.
powers, about intelligence
that.
powers coming down the pipe. And the ones the Tories brought in, it's very unlikely Starmer, who has a profound authoritarian streak, will get rid of them. I remember very keenly the London riots and the response to that. They were running 24-hour courts to get these kids off the street and into jail. We can't stop those processes. The state will do what it does, but we need to be able to look at the deeper causes, why people get caught up in violence like that. Clearly, the main agitators were bussed in these cases, but it also seems clear to me that there were some local people, particularly young people, we saw in the case of the lynchings in Hull, who get dragged into it, and we have to look at why, what's going on in their lives, that they would be pulled
In the
into these
21st
explosions
century.
of violence. And I would suggest
Here too.
the age-old story is, if we look at the conditions in those communities about what's been taken away, what they feel they need to do to be dignified and have the opportunities they need. I think we need to talk about all those things, because a lot of those kids are probably going to end up in jail, same as after the London riots. And then their problems and their attitudes are very likely to be compounded. Austerity, cost of living, the lack of opportunities, the education system being made unreachable by many people. When you look at the causes of those problems, that's not Muslims, that's not migrants. Migrants didn't close down your library. That was the government. That was because things have been cut. It's because capitalism is in decay and they don't want you to have nice things anymore. So we should look at that and always argue against fascists and the far right when they come into our communities and say, oh, look at him. He's your enemy. Look at what he's doing, because it's not the case. Not for the first time. We've seen the role of the mainstream media.
Oh.
Other than the Adidas jacket, he's pretty solid. He's saying he was doing the anti-protest march, but he obviously isn't doing the BDS stuff.
So I'm wondering, like, okay, this civil war, I guess, is supposed to be, it's not going to be like a civil war like last time. It's going to be people fighting at protests. What you think?
I don't see it. I don't see American. Are you talking to us or them?
Us.
Yeah, maybe I'm being,
There's a lot of racists in
I know I'm trying to pick my words carefully, because there's a lot of anger, but is it enough for you to go after somebody just because they're the other party? I mean, I think it would be pretty easy to, I don't know. I'm talking for myself, so I'm probably wrong, but I would think it would be easy to let people know that, instead of Republicans hitting Democrats and vice versa, that, they're being puppeteered by the people that are, paying their wages and telling them what to do and then taking their taxes.
Is it because when those guys jump out of the U-Haul with the mask on, with the khaki pants and all that, like, what is their purpose?
The feds? They're just
right,
yeah.
But why?
They
It's
want to piss off people, that they want to piss off the Republicans or the Democrats in this case. But yeah, so they just want to get a war between Antifa and the MAGA crowd. They just want blood in the street, and God, I hope we're smart enough not to give it to them.
I hope so too. I'm not going.
But this video that we just watched, hoping I'm wrong, but it'll be really interesting to watch it back a year from now and go, oh shit, that's exactly what we saw it coming, because now it's happening here. It happened in the UK first. I'm hoping that's just not prophetic for what we've got coming in, November. Throw an election on top of that. Oh, you're muted.
So I'm gonna throw this comment up. Tosh Schmidt was saying that immigrants were getting like 13,000 plus in benefits. Okay, so they're
Is that a
doing that.
year?
So
A month?
this lady works at I think it was a grocery store or something, and somebody had their receipt for food stamps. They had a balance of 13,000 something dollars,
with 5,000 being cash. Like you can get it in cash out of the 13,000.
Yes, and she was talking to her her father, who was a veteran, by the way, and she's like, "Tell him how much you get in food stamps. $23 a month."
You feel what I'm saying?
A veteran.
If
Yeah.
people not mad at that shit, I'm sorry.
See, and
So it's like they want us to be mad at the immigrant instead of they're planting seeds for
Right.
this type of
well, and that's what they were doing in the UK as well.
exactly.
Is they were saying that if an Englishman commits a crime and a Muslim commits a crime, the Muslim gets way less of a sentence. They're actually going harder on the English just to make them pissed off about the situation and cause them more resentment towards the Muslims because they're being treated with woke kid gloves. You can't. And yeah, they're doing that intentionally just to piss people off and get them to do what they're doing right now, which is rioting and destroying things and going after these Muslim communities. It's a sick, twisted game, and it's happening by the people that hang out with Oprah Winfrey.
Right.
That's
Right.
all. It's UK, US, Australia. I don't care. They're all running in the same circle. The country line, the borders of the countries are getting less and less important now. We're just turning into the corporate states of America,
Mm-hmm. Jacqueline
corporate states of
said,
the world.
deliberately fostering resentment and hate.
Yeah.
Deliberately.
Yep. It's a feature, not a bug. Absolutely.
I don't know what Nahilo means by that, because it's not a glitch.
It's real.
Oh,
real.
he's just saying, well, you can't blame them for spending. If somebody's giving you $13K, you're going to spend it. I was like,
Right.
yeah, but they're doing that just because it'll once again piss people off, saying, how are they getting that and I ain't getting that, and fuck, screw them, and so it makes them want to fight. Gives them fuel.
Gives them fuel, yes. If it's not used, some of it. Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, but he's okay. Sean's saying, but that's not what's happening. Yeah, that's not what's happening.
Yeah, I don't think you could roll over 13K. And I saw that, and I'm not 100% sure that wasn't Photoshop. So I am going to have to check sources on that.
I can Google it right now. Google it right now. I have to keep telling her to be quiet.
But I can see it going both ways. I mean, I could see it being totally legit and being used to stir resentment and anger. But I can also see it'd be a lot easier for some Yahoo just to Photoshop it real quick and put it out, but to do the same thing, to, they could actually get the resentment and the anger without actually the government having to shell out the cash. Another false flag.
Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to look it up now. Over here. Okay. It doesn't say the. amounts. I can show you what I'm looking at.
Yeah, 21 kids at a time. That's not a foster care home. That's more of a puppy mill.
Okay. Here we go. Whoop. There we go. All right. This is revised April 2024. So they can get SSI, SNAP, which is the food stamps, temporary assistance for needy families, emergency Medicaid, full scope Medicaid, children's health insurance, CHIP program, Medicare Part A, HUD public housing, and Section 8. I don't know what Title XX block. Oh, grants. Okay.
Well, and that's what I heard, that some states were just given the, give them a credit card and not giving them, damn it, I hate mirroring myself, that whole list of stuff that was up there, because that $13K was actually cheaper than what they would spend on all those benefits. I think that I heard that at some point was their excuse. I don't remember if it was that much money. That's why I was questioning the photo. But I do know that instead of, giving them all the EBT and just all the paperwork and stuff that it takes to do all that, it was just cheaper to give them the cash. It was actually saving them money to do that. Which, I don't know. Is that a good thing? I could go either way on that. I could play devil's advocate both ways.
I mean, I understand if somebody's coming over here with nothing. I mean, they need something, but
well, if you don't give them something, you're basically saying, okay, go steal shit. Either get a job, which nobody's going to hire you, or become a criminal. So if you give them the cash to at least get them on their feet and look for work, then
But if they understand that for them, why can't they understand that for citizens?
Because they're not interested. They don't work.
That's what's happening too.
They haven't worked for us for a long time. If they can make money on people suffering, they're going to make people suffer.
Mm-hmm. So Rondo says he thinks it's he thinks that was from New York City, because he says they were getting something like $1,000 a month, which would be about $13,000 annually. So.
But they didn't. That means that they didn't spend it all. That's what I don't. How would you bank? If you had that much, would you bank it? I would have spent that a long time ago. There wouldn't be $13,000 sitting in my Snap on my debit card.
No, it's not a. It wasn't a debit card. It was EBT. So
right. But I think you get a card with EBT. But yeah, I know.
EBT is what you use to get groceries.
You not only groceries. You can use it to get your house.
Oh, and household items, yeah.
Right.
It's like it's basically what
everything but beer and cigarettes.
Regular people,
right.
Everything but alcohol and tobacco. But what I'm trying to say is, just like in schools, IEP. Can I say this? I'm just saying, you know how an IEP is for kids with special needs, right?
Yes.
From my experience as an educator, an observation as a human being, every student can benefit from an individualized education plan. But what I'm trying to say is the same benefits that they are giving to these immigrants and that they have been giving and enabling people with, if it was designed appropriately and effective, it would be used to give people a lift up, not make them dependent on it for life. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
okay,
yeah.
don't say no more.
If they would do, if that was their mindset, they would have just given everybody the Medicare that they give 65-year-olds. They do it for the whole country. I mean, there's no downside there, but the medical industry doesn't get paid for healing people; they get paid for treating people. And if you move to a socialist medicine, then they have to start actually doing preventative medicine because that's cheaper. And when they're the ones paying for it, they're going to go with the cheaper option, which is keeping people healthy and not putting crap in the foods, that your food would look more like a European list of ingredients than the crap they feed us now, because they know if they feed us that crap, eventually we're going to have to go to the doctor.
They are feeding us crap too. I was just talking about that. I was like, I bought a bunch of fruit. I said, this fruit doesn't even have taste.
Oh, I got strawberries. I was so sad. I thought I was eating a tomato. It tasted like a GD tomato, which that's not what you want. If you want a tomato, if I want a tomato, I'd eat a tomato. It's a strawberry from Mexico, and they were big and beautiful. And I was like, oh, that's the first sign. They were grown to look good, not to taste good. I'd rather have an ugly old withered strawberry that tasted like heaven.
Right.
I don't care how it looks.
But that's what they do. They throw that food out because it's not appealing to the eye. Okay.
Yeah.
I found with somebody said this. Let's see. Somebody said that in the state of Maryland, I think that was Rondo. Okay. The EBT doesn't pay for toiletries or hygiene products in the state of Maryland. So
No.
I looked up and I don't see any toiletries on here. Oh, but this is Louisiana. You can't use it for toiletries, only food.
They want the poor people stinky so you can pick them out in a crowd.
Yeah, and you can't even use it to buy hot food. So
right, no deli trip.
Right. So Snorky says the purpose was the Dems had legislation in place that would have given them the right to vote for president, and they wanted as many as possible moving to guarantee a win. Okay, that's not what I was looking for, but okay.
I have a question.
This is
I think that the calculations that they missed on is assuming that everybody coming in is going to vote for them, for the Democrats, which I think they may have effed around and found out on that one. I think they're going to have more of these immigrants voting for Trump than voting for Kamala. Oh, you're muted again.
It's because Tasha keep talking to me instead of adminning. Oh, I'm sorry. I said you. Okay, let me see. This was the nope. Snarky says okay. No, that was just the balance. When their time at one shelter runs out, they found out that they were returning to Mexico and coming back 3 times, and so many are buying minivans.
They just buy a minivan, and when
they
they
all
get
pile up in
impounded.
it.
Well, that's probably why all the used cars are now coming down. Before you couldn't even buy a used car for what it costs to buy a new one, but those finally coming down, probably because of all the impound lots are overflowed.
I was asking if
the
vice president, the one that Kamala selected, is he trying to, or are the Democrats trying to make it viable that felons get to vote now? I mean, are they trying to make a move on that?
I don't see why a felon shouldn't be able to vote.
I don't see why they shouldn't if they paid their price.
You already did your time. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you did your time.
If they were born in the country, they're still citizens. I don't know about voting behind bars though. Do you think they should be able to vote behind bars?
No, not behind bars.
But once they're out, yeah, for sure.
It's behind bars. You're still paying. You're still making restitution.
Right.
But if you are out, that means you paid your dues.
Right.
Well, some people are behind bars because they can't afford the bail. They haven't technically been charged like
Rikers Island in New York.
Yeah.
There's stories about kids being in there for years before they go to trial. It's insane.
Yeah, it is.
It's not the rich kids either.
Oh, no. They don't even go. or they go somewhere real cush.
Right. They go to community service. They pick up trash on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
Wall Street
Or
Trapper.
I'm looking it up right now. I don't know who that is.
Can I just give a snippet on?
Oh, sure, Tasman.
Okay. Just a little snippet on them, because I got.
Can you just go?
It's very small.
You're not gonna stop. Just
I
go.
swear, very.
Go.
So Wall Street Trapper is this young man that found himself in prison. He did a lot of shit to get in prison, right? But while in prison, he became very, very educated on Wall Street and stocks and trading.
I remember him. I know who that
and
is.
now he's rubbing elbow. He's out. He has this online opportunity for people to learn about stocks and trading and things like that. I'm going to talk about him on Black Athletes.
Okay, so why are you talking about him now?
No, I'm just going to elaborate on him.
It's a teaser. She's giving a teaser. It's just a little teaser. But yeah, it amazes me that they actually still have libraries in prison. I thought that'd be one of the first things they took away, because last thing you want is an educated prisoner.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he's one of.
They have radio stations in some prisons because Lamia, I forget his last name. Lamia. I know Rondo knows.
Khalif Browder, he's talking about it.
Yeah, Khalif Browder.
That's not Wall Street Trapper.
That's not Wall Street Trapper. That's the 16-year-old who committed suicide.
Yeah, he died.
I interviewed his brother, the founder of the Khalif Browder. Yeah, he was never. They just had him in there for 2 years.
Suspicion of stealing your backpack.
Getting passed around.
Say one more word. One more word.
Say my name. Say what again?
Oh, I can't wait till her show tomorrow. I'm not gonna shut up. I don't even know anything about athletes. Talk my ass off. Yeah.
So what was your takeaway from the rioting? Is it organic, or is this an operation?
The rioting is in the looting or the rioting? Just the
rioting. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, looting I get.
Well, it was okay. It started out they were flaming the fire of about the stabbings of those 3 girls, claiming they were
Praying it was a Muslim that did it. Yeah.
that did it, which okay, so if it was, they're going to get punished. So what is the problem? I don't understand that. So I don't know.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the fact that they did such a quick heel turn when they found out it was not a Muslim, but it was a black kid from Rwanda. Oh, all of a sudden, we're still going to hate. We're still going to,
Yeah, because they're black. So
and they're still and they're still going to go after mosques and stuff, and go after the Muslim community, even though it was.
Even though it wasn't a Muslim at all. I mean,
it was the excuse. It wasn't the reason. It's an excuse, not a reason.
Right. But it could have been a Muslim still.
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't even.
They don't know that.
They just hate. Those people love to hate, and race is an excuse, not a reason. Because when I was living in Dublin, they would take 2 weeks off every year. They would get 2 weeks off of work so that they could go from Dublin to Northern Ireland to help their families board up windows during marching season, when they all agree this is a good time to go into the streets and beat the shit out of each other. And we'll do it for a week, and then we'll wait, and then yes, they have marching season. They have a season.
It's like a real life purge.
Yeah. Right. It's exactly what it is. Only instead of one night, it's like a week. Yeah. So they don't. Yeah. The reason is hate. Anything else is just an excuse, whether it's race, religion, between the Protestants and the Catholics in Northern Ireland. They just need the excuse. They already have the reason.
That's crazy.
I saw there was a woman, an 11-year-old girl that was stabbed today. I was 6 hours ago, so it was when I saw when the video was posted, but it was a news, so it was today-ish. They're still getting stabbed over there.
So okay, they don't have access to guns. That's why there's so many stabbings over there.
Drive-by stabbings on a bicycle.
Wow. Imagine if they had guns. It would be just like America, basically.
Yeah, that's the only difference is we got guns in the First Amendment. Otherwise, it's the same people. I mean, that's where the people that are running this country, that's where they came from, and that's the families that they come from, and that's that nothing changed. They changed locations, but they didn't change mentality.
And if they didn't have knives, they'd be stabbing each other with forks.
Right. Yeah. Drive-by rocking.
Yeah.
Stoning.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, let's go back to the
laughing, but it's
old
the truth, right?
It's 100%.
Weapons are at your disposal. It could be a damn stick. Drive-by stick.
So that's interesting that you say that, because that this other video, I'll just go out on this video, is talking about the brutality of British culture. So wow.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good
Yeah, America doesn't want to. America fought against the British in the Revolutionary War, but they don't want to admit that that's all our DNA. That was basically a civil war. It was just a civil war between England and America because we wanted to, push away. And actually, I think we were kind of the assholes. We were the too Puritan. They were too rowdy for us over there. So we had to escape. There were white ancestors of America had to escape the white ancestors of England to get away from them, just because they were so shitty over there, to get away from the king and the monarchy and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody goes across an entire ocean on a rickety old boat because they thought it would be really cool to uproot my life and change everything and throw everything into the wind and go to the unknown. There's a reason they got pushed away. They weren't drawn by the promise of America.
They weren't drawn by the promise of America.
Yeah.
So how organic do you think the riots were? Because they were definitely, flaming the fire, and a lot of it was there were people protesting, like peacefully protesting and stuff like that. And then here come the agitators.
Yeah, the ones that had the big printed signs, all the nice huge signs and all the placards, and that somebody was out there handing out signs to these people, just like behind, whenever you see Trump talking, everybody's got the same sign behind him. Same thing. Those people didn't make those signs. That's not organic. That's people passing out signs as they're walking in.
But Jacqueline, weren't they originally like just marching for the immigrants, saying that you're welcome here, and we don't have racists need to go and all this stuff, and then all the racists showed up.
Right. The counter protests. Only the counter protests were throwing rocks, burning shit.
Mm-hmm. Rondo says those riots are as real as January 6th. So
there's a lot of comparisons there that can be made. Absolutely.
Some feds in the crowd.
Yeah.
Trying to rile people up.
Yeah.
Get it going.
Yeah.
Or like with Black Lives Matter, how they would put out those pallets of rocks, just bricks. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How
Every
convenient.
2 blocks, we just got another pallet of bricks. We're doing a sidewalk project, and we're gonna replace all the sidewalk with bricks.
How
Convenient.
convenient.
Convenient. Yes. Yeah, and I'll bet there were some bobbies in the crowd, you know, whatever, MI6 in the crowd in all those protest march.
One of Nahilo's co-workers, friends, just spewed some great replacement theory bullshit to him the other day. Yeah, there's definitely some of them are definitely the fools, but like, are they gonna actually make a move, or do they need to be pushed into?
Right. Well, and it can be both, like those great replacement people that are in Britain. All you got to do is, you know, give them an excuse, you know, show them 3 kids that were killed and then say Muslim, whether it's true or not, you know that they're going to go full tilt from square one. So you can't rein that back. They just opened up the floodgate and said, get those Muslims, and that's didn't matter if they were Muslim. It was a Muslim that did it or not, obviously, because it wasn't.
Yep. No, Jacqueline, you misheard what we were talking about.
But she's right. I wanted to tell her that.
No, we didn't say that they were throwing rocks out.
Not at each other. No, they were taking out the hotels that all the immigrants were staying in and burning.
That's true.
And businesses throwing rocks through windows and shit.
You know what's crazy is that some people personally told me that they saw a train, like, you know, here in Louisiana we got a lot of train tracks that do a lot of, you know, chemical transports and stuff like that, right? In a community not far from my hometown, there was a train, like one of those cargo things, left open with like cargoes of weapons, just like guns. And I'm like, I know people that told me about it. You know what I'm saying? It's like just like they would plant bricks conveniently, you know, at a riot site. It's those types of things that make you know that this is intentional. This is you know, way beyond elaborate intention.
Like there's video. There is so much video from the BLM protest. There's one I remember where this white lady was spray painting on the side of a building, like Black Lives Matter and all this stuff. The police were right there and just let her do it. And all the protesters are like, y'all just gonna let her do that? Like she just.
Oh, it's her First Amendment right. Yeah, right. Selective outrage.
That's because educated people can do certain things because they're educated.
Okay, so should we wrap up?
Sure. I think we've tortured these fine people long enough.
Fine people long enough.
I apologize, Master Brian, for my interruptions.
No, you do not do that at all.
Yes, you should.
This is discourse.
But she's supposed to be adminning.
Well, that's true.
She's not paying attention to her job.
I love y'all.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
But she always adds to the discourse, so she's always welcome.
Oh, he says you're always welcome. I didn't say
that. That's my opinion. I speak for myself.
I didn't say that at all. I know. Okay, so I am going to play this on the way out.
Thank you, everybody, for stopping by and joining in and listening to our ramblings about the UK riots and everything else in between.
Yeah, no, Rondo, that's the problem. She wasn't multitasking. That's the problem.
Unitasking.
Unitasking. You did great.
I think this show is wonderful.
Have
No,
a
it was
good night,
awesome.
Cheryl. I'm about to play a video, so if you want to stick around for the video, please.
This guy's
do.
good. He breaks it down really well.
Yes, he breaks it down really well.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I have to say that at least once. I said it. I'm contractually obligated.
Okay, go ahead. Tashmit wants to share something. While she's pulling that up, so tomorrow is Tashmit's show, 5 p.m. Central, and that is Black Athletes and Politics, a Perspective. There it is right there. Oh, you took it down too fast.
Leave that up. There you go.
And then Wednesday, I'll let you say.
10 Rabbit Podcast, and that is, let's see, 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern.
9 Eastern.
And we're going to be talking about the history of history, Wheel of Time, and the secular nature of our events. It'll be a good one.
And then Thursday is Nahilo and myself with the Noteworthy. Sorry. That's at 5 p.m. Central.
I'll be there with bells on.
Yeah. I don't know what we're talking about yet, so we'll have to see. We will just have to see. Cheryl said you did good.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. I appreciate it.
I second that.
Thank you.
Oh.
You guys are my aspiration.
Okay. So I think we said everything we need to say.
I'm done. Let's watch that video. Roll that beautiful bean footage.
That's right. Thank you, family, for coming to see us every week. We love y'all. And we'll see you next week.
I'm so old.
Oh, what's that? Oh, my bad. I'm back. Okay, I'll do it too.
See, you can get right off the butt.
The young people are doing that,
Yeah, I know. I'm so old, I don't know how.
Oh, okay.
It looks like a big tomato.
Yeah, it does.
Tomato, y'all.
All right, here we go. The click stays.
Oh, you have to unmute. He's muted.
Unmute.
You're muted. He's muted. I'm the only one unmuted. Am I talking to myself?
No, you're not talking to yourself.
Okay.
Tashmit is not on her job. Is it muted on your side?
It's muted
I don't know why it does that.
So if you
I
look,
have to stop sharing.
Okay.
Redo it. And if anybody wants to look this up, it's the title is UK Riots: The Brutal Truth About British Culture. Okay. Let's try this again.
Yeah, StreamYard's funny like that sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
There we go.
I've seen so many videos, so many testimonies
Later,
coming
fam.
out today from Black people, from Asians, from Arabs, and so on, all British citizens, as well as from immigrants, of course. But so many people expressing like trauma and shock, disappointment, grief over these riots and these attacks. Frankly, I don't know why. I mean, I don't know how you could have ever convinced yourself that you're living in a healthy, civilized society to where any of this should shock you. Look, these English people have felt like their Englishness was being deteriorated. You know, their English culture, their English heritage, their English Anglo so-called civilization, they felt it was being marginalized, minimized, and undermined by the presence of non-whites and primarily of Muslims, the presence of Muslims. So what you're seeing with these riots is just them reasserting their culture, their heritage, their so-called civilization at its most raw, its most honest, the most primal expression, which is hateful, primitive, and violent. That's their culture. That's their culture, and they're telling you loud and clear. Why, these are festivals for them. You call it riots, but for them, these are festivals of Anglo-British culture and tradition. That's who they are. They're not tolerant people. They're not multiculturalists. They're monoculturalists, and they always have been. I mean, you can tie a monkey's tail to a stick to make it go straight, But the moment that stick comes loose, the tail will curl up again. You can't artificially change a society. No, you can't artificially change the nature of a society. And you should already know. You should already know the nature of that society. Since it was almost exclusively because of the violent, tyrannical, supremacist nature of that society, that the countries that your parents came from, your grandparents came from, and so on, that's why their countries became so unlivable that they had to immigrate to that miserable island to begin with. I mean, how did you think that people who were brutal colonizers and enslavers in your country were somehow completely different when they got home? I mean, don't you know that the highest domestic violence statistics are in the homes of police officers? No, no one is savage on the job, but gentle at home. They were in your countries, robbing your countries, pillaging your countries, destroying your countries, because they thought you deserved it. And they look at you the same way now. They look at you on the streets of London, on the streets of Brighton, on the streets of Manchester, Bristol, Liverpool, and Cardiff. They look at you the same way that they looked at you when you were on indigo plantations and when they were starving you to death in Bengal. They look at you the same way that they looked at you when you were on tobacco and sugar and cotton plantations in the Caribbean. The same way that they looked at you when they were stealing your lands in Kenya, stealing your lands in Zimbabwe and everywhere else, and forcing you into mines and forcing you onto plantations to deliver all of your natural wealth into their hands. I'm telling you, they look at you the same way now. When you're on their streets, they look at you the same way as they looked at you when you were in your countries of origin. They hunted you over there, and they'll hunt you over here. In fact, they'll hunt you even more savagely when they're on their home turf. I mean, do you think that a wolf is more dangerous when he's outside and less dangerous when you're right there in his den? Well, everybody knows that a wolf is even more violent when he thinks he's protecting his den than when he's out hunting. So I don't see why you're surprised. I don't see why you're shocked. I mean, it would be different if your history with them was different. You know, if they had come into your countries, if they had come into your lands as traders and as merchants and just did business with you in a respectable, civilized way, but that's not what they did, is it? So, I mean, if you're the victim of a brutal home invasion where you get assaulted and robbed in your own house, what makes you think that the criminal who did that to you is going to welcome you as a guest when you show up at his door? So, yes, they felt that their culture was getting pushed aside. And now they're holding parades all across the UK to celebrate who they are and to remind you who they are and to remind everyone else who they are. And listen, I'm well aware that this is orchestrated, that it is calculated. I'm well aware that what's happening in the UK right now is all part of the destabilization project that has been in progress for at least as long as the Ukraine war has been in progress. I'm the first person to point that out. I'm the first person to talk about that. I know that's what's happening because I said it would happen. And it's going to get worse. I know that Tommy Robinson is on the payroll. I know he's an agent of disruption, but he's not the only one. I know that's why they specifically choose to hold their Anglo Pride parades in heavily immigrant and minority areas, precisely to inflame. And precisely so that English people can see the police crack down on white nationalists. That's just to promote the white nationalist narrative. You know, if immigrant and so-called minority offenders get lighter sentences than whites, the whole point of that is just to advance that narrative, to stoke resentment and racial hatred. Everyone knows that Tommy Robinson is paid by higher-ups. Well, those higher-ups are exactly that. This racial and ethnic strife is sought by the elites of the society. Because like I said, time and time again, Europe, including the UK, is slated to be nothing but a conflict zone. But the point is, they're able to do this because that racism, that white supremacy, that brutal, violent heritage and culture is their heritage and culture. And they never rehabilitated themselves from it. They never civilized from it. They have been barbarians for millennia. And that's what they are today. To one extent or another, all they did was medicate those hateful, violent tendencies. They sedated it. They treated the symptoms, just like the pharmaceutical industry does, just like they do with illness. You know, they never cure you. They just medicate the symptoms so that it'll be dormant without ever actually treating the underlying condition. Well, that's the same way that they've dealt with their perverse hatred and their racism and their penchant for violence. They just put a Band-Aid on a tumor. They plaster over a cyst with foundation, makeup, and blush so that you can't see it. Or anyway, so that you can't tell whether what you are seeing is what you think you're seeing. You know how they talk about microaggressions and implicit bias and all that? Well, that's what I'm talking about. It's like radiation that escapes through a landfill of toxic waste because you never actually got rid of the waste. You just tried to bury it. But no matter how deep you bury it, it's still there. And it's going to come out one way or another. Look, I'm a Westerner. My ancestors were Irish and German. But I don't feel any conflict in acknowledging the reality that the West has always been and still is barbaric. You know, there was a Sahabi named Abu Dhar al-Ghifari, and his whole tribe, before Islam, they were highway robbers. They were bandits, thieves, murderers, and they were renowned for that. When they embraced Islam, they didn't pretend that they didn't have that history. In fact, having that history just demonstrated how much Islam changed them. They were no more defined by what they were before Islam, nor did they identify or defend what they were before Islam any more than I am defined by or identify with or defend the history of the West. You have to tell the truth. I mean, the irony, of course, is that these riots, this is all part of a destabilization campaign by white Westerners against white Western countries. And these people still want to believe in some kind of white Western fraternity. Your forefathers were Anglo serfs and peasants used and abused by Anglo aristocrats. And that's basically the same situation now. You are defending a so-called culture, a so-called civilization that treated your ancestors like animals, treated your women like property, and your children as nothing but expendable drones for workhouses and mines. You enslaved each other before you ever started enslaving anyone else. It's a miserable, disgraceful, inhuman heritage. I mean, I'm American, and there only are Americans because white Europeans were so vicious and so tyrannical to each other that whoever could escape ran away. My people went to America because you were starving them in the potato famine, white on white oppression. That's your whole history before you became multicultural oppressors. That's what I mean. What you did elsewhere, you were already doing at home. What you did to other people, you were first doing to each other. You know, when the colonizers first went to Ghana, they were flabbergasted to discover that every house, every home had a toilet that was cleaned every day. Meanwhile, you still had your people defecating in public in collective cesspits that never got cleaned. Yes, you never cleaned them. You just buried it and dug a new one. See how you do? That's a habit with you. Just bury it and then start somewhere else. That's basically the origin of America, if you think about it. You just moved away from the cesspit of Europe to start a new cesspit on the other side of the Atlantic. I'm telling you because you need to know. I'm not telling you to denigrate you. I mean, how are you going to be uplifted if you don't know how low you are now and how low you've always been? Westerners don't know the difference between standing on the shore and drowning, because wallahi, you are drowning and you're being drowned, actually. Your own so-called culture, your own so-called civilization is drowning you. And you're out here in the streets of the UK defending the culture that's drowning you and that drowned your forefathers. Well, you don't know how much in common you actually have with the immigrants that flee to your country from their countries because your country ruined their countries. Because the same so-called civilization that ruined their countries has been ruining you for hundreds of years. You need to wash the makeup off of that cyst, rip the Band-Aid off of that tumor, and start actually trying to heal yourselves. And you need to charge the doctor who never did anything but cover up your sickness, cover up your deformity, cover up your mutation instead of treating it, because he never cared about your health in the first place. And you need to charge that doctor, which is your so-called civilization, you need to charge that doctor with malpractice. Charge your civilization, so-called, with malpractice. I'm saying you need to direct your anger at the people who are trying to direct your anger at anyone but themselves, because they're the ones you should be mad at. You should direct your anger at all these people who are lying to you about your so-called civilization, telling you to be proud and defensive about a culture that has done nothing but keep you perverted, hateful, violent, and criminal for centuries. Because you have a right to be worthwhile human beings. And your so-called civilization has let you down. It's let you down badly. It hasn't just let you down developmentally, morally, spiritually, ethically, and so on. It's even let you down in the most practical of terms. You know, the very thing that you like to think that you excel in. You like to think that you're the most practical and efficient people on the earth, but look at your system. Your so-called civilization built a system, built a society that's literally making you go extinct. Your materialism, your atheism, your consumerism, your urbanization, your worship of money has created a society that cannot even perpetuate itself anymore. How practical is that? I'm telling you, you're out of your minds. Nothing about the way that you approach the world, nothing about the way you approach life makes any sense. It's killing you. And you're so insane that you're singing God Save the King instead of saving yourselves.
Hi, Mark Barden. It's Sandy Hook Promise here.